colds amounted today already to 40%. During the last week alone, 1,000 new spotted fever cases have been officially recorded. That represented so far the maximum number. This health situation represented a serious danger for the Reich and for the soldiers who were coming into the government general. A spreading of pestilence into the Reich is absolutely feasible. The increase in tuberculosis, too, was causing anxiety. If the food rations were to be diminished again, an enormous increase of the number of illnesses could be predicted. End of quote. While it was crystal clear from this report that in September 1941, disease affected 40% of the Polish population, nevertheless, the defendant Frank approved in August 1942 a new plan which called for much larger contributions of foodstuffs to Germany at the expense of the non-German population of the general government. Methods of meeting the new quotas out of the grossly inadequate rations of the general government and the impact of the new quotas on the economy of the country were discussed at a cabinet meeting of the general government on 24 August 1942 in terms which leave no possible doubt that not only was the proposed requisition beyond the resources of the country, but its force was to be distributed on a grossly discriminatory basis. This appears from Frank's diary and in our document 2233 PS-E, which is at page 30 in the document book, which I now offer into evidence as USA Exhibit 283. The German text appears in the 1942 conference volume at the conference entry for 24 August 1942. I quote the following extracts. Before the German people, says Frank, are to experience starvation, the occupied territories and their people shall be exposed to starvation. In this moment, therefore, we here in the general government must also have the iron determination to help the great German people, our fatherland. The general government, therefore, must do the following. The general government has taken on the obligation to send 500,000 tons of bread grains to the fatherland, in addition to the foodstuffs already being delivered for the relief of Germany or consumed here by troops of the armed forces, police, or SS. If you compare this with our contributions of last year, you can see that this means a six-fold increase over that of last year's contribution of the general government. The new demand will be fulfilled exclusively at the expense of the foreign population. It must be done cold-bloodedly and without pity. End of quote. Defendant Frank was not only responsible for reducing the general government to starvation level, but was proud of the contribution he thereby made to the Reich. I refer to a statement made to the political leaders of the NSDAP on 14 December 1942 at Krakow. It is contained in the Frank diary and is our document 2233 PS-Z at page 57 in the document book, and I now offer it in evidence as USA Exhibit 612. In the German text, The extract appears in the 1942 diary volume, Part 4, at page 1331. Dr. Frank is speaking. I will endeavor to get out of the reservoir of this territory everything that is yet to be got out of it. He continues, when you consider that it was possible for me to deliver to the Reich 600,000 tons of red grain, and in addition 180,000 tons to the armed forces stationed here, further an abundance amounting to many thousands of tons of other commodities, such as seeds, fats, vegetables, besides the delivery to the Reich of 300 million eggs, etc., you can estimate the significance this territory possesses for the Reich. In order to make it clear to you the significance of the consignment from the general government of 600,000 tons of bread grain, you are referred to the fact that the general government, by this achievement alone, covers the raising of the bread ration in the Greater German Reich by 2/3 during the present rationing period. This enormous achievement can rightfully be claimed by us. End of quote. Now, as to the resettlement of Polish peasants, which Defendant Frank mentioned secondly in the report to Hitler. Although Himmler was given general authority in connection with the conspirators' project to resettle various districts in the conquered eastern territories with racial Germans, the projects relating to resettling districts in the general government were submitted to and approved by the Defendant Frank. End of quote. Kruger went on to mention that there was a great deal of unrest in the territory as a result, and Frank informed him, that is Kruger, that each individual case of resettlement would be discussed in the future exactly as that one of Zamość had been. Although the illegality of this dispossession of Poles to make room for Germans was evident, and although the fact that the Poles were not only being dispossessed, but sent off to concentration camps, the resettlement projects continued in the general government.